Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. My name is DLPOV, and ever since I started making videos, I've always told myself that the very first moment that I start making a channel and decide to talk about all this kind of crap that you hear me talking about from week to week basis, Berserk has to be the first video that I ever make something about. So I decided to create something around Berserk. The chapter review that you probably saw, I'll leave that in the link down below in case you are up to date with the manga. And Berserk has to be honest, has to be one of my favorite series of all time, story-wise, art-wise. So I'm happy to be making this video, about certain elements. First of all, I'm going to talk about the upcoming anime that's going to come up. Then I will be talking about the upcoming game that's going to come out, my speculations as well. And lastly, I'll talk about my reasoning for loving Berserk. The reason why I chose this order is because I feel that you guys are most likely interested in hearing a little bit more about the actual two confirmed things than what I personally feel. So if you're not interested in how the fuck I feel, you can just fuck off then by the end of the video if you want to. So first of all, the anime. The anime is due to July 8th. That will be on a Friday next month. The first Friday next month, if I'm not mistaken. And to be honest, I don't know how to feel about cell shading and 3D models. I've never been a fan of it. I've never liked it. I've never liked it in anime. If you are an animation studio that works with 3D, you have to be damn well good in order for me to like your work, animation wise, not story wise. And I'm sorry for being this biased. Again, this is a little bit of more in a subjective, like a subjective part of this video, but I just don't like it. I just don't like the way they're handling this Berserk part, animation wise. The story is good. If they adapt it properly, then the story will be good. But one of the things that bothers me the most is just that when I'm reading Berserk and I see this art style that hinges more towards a realistic structure, realistic image, and you look at this anime and it has this very, sometimes a little bit goofy or unsmooth way of moving around, it takes my immersion out. And the way, like, when you see Guts moving around with the sword, it feels a little bit off. The way Farnese moves when she's like has the whip, there are just things that don't look as smooth or as clean, and that's one of my biggest issues with this trailer. I'll leave all these trailers down in the description down below. You may like it. It's just my personal thing that I just feel that they really fucked up with this. I was kind of hoping that the Berserk movies that had the 3D in them, like I wish that was where they left it at, because I had this conversation with another friend. Unlike with the movie, they don't have a real budget. They do. They have a budget. Excuse me. Let me word this differently. With the movie, they had a movie budget. With the series, they have a series budget, which is pretty different. What happens to certain series? What happens to JoJo's Bizarre Adventure? What happens to Naruto Shippuden or One Piece? When they have a certain budget, they have to make sure that they use that budget within that season. So they will probably be saving budget for certain episodes. Some episodes will probably look really good. Other episodes will probably be like mediocre, and that's not what this series deserves. This long run series deserves some justice, especially since we will be getting the Tower of Conviction arc that actually plays a really important role in Guts' story, because it creates what eventually will be without spoiling too much, eventually this creates the opportunity to what eventually will become the final fight with Griffith, if I'm not mistaken. At least that's how it's looking like. So I mean, we'll see. What are your opinions about this? I have to know. Do you like the art style? Do you like the animation? I will give it props that it tries to do some cell shading on, not cell shading, some etching on the sides of the faces and on the actual body to give it a little bit more of an anime look. However, the parts that look purely 3D and textured in a 3D manner just look out of place. I just don't. What do you guys think about it? Are you? I'm excited for the series because I'm gonna watch it regardless. I'm excited for the series. I'm gonna watch it regardless because I have to know, just like I do with the Boruto chapters. And I mean, yeah. Just leave your opinions down in the comments down below. I want to know more. I want to be more with the community about this. I want to hear more about this from you guys. And before I get too depressed because of the animation, let me just move on to the next topic, which is a little bit more exciting, and that is the Berserk Musou game. Now, the Berserk Musou game, I was watching E3 on Twitch with live with someone, not with someone, but as I was looking at someone looking at E3, the conferences, and the Sony conference was one of the most anticipated conferences in E3 this year. So while we were looking, this guy Demolition D, douchebag chocolat, if you wanna call him that on his YouTube, I that person, by the way, I have a huge amount of respect. He knows, he's seems like a really smart person. He loves Berserk to death. Like it seems like he does love Berserk to death as well. We were looking at E3, and for like a week before E3, there was this little bit of a rumored website containing something that looked like it was going to become a Berserk game. And during E3, the Demolition D, he popped the website up. There was a certain countdown that just went to zero. Tried to renew the page, and then like an error page showed up with dash Berserk Musou on it. He renewed the page again. We got to see the trailer that I will leave in the link down below, and we got to see the trailer of what is to be the Berserk Musou game. Why would you choose to display this of everything? I guess it's different for a kind of trailer, but like throughout my life I've developed two trigger warnings, and when it comes to series, one of them would be Game of Thrones: The Red Wedding, two, the eclipse scene, the entire eclipse part, more specifically the end with Griffith and Casca and Guts. So seeing this was like, why? I hope this goes somewhere, and you just slowly see those tentacles moving. And I guess it was just meant, this trailer. I don't see the purpose of the trailer, I'll be honest, other than just to show us that it is a Berserk game, period. Otherwise, I don't see what the purpose had. Like, I don't see what this had to do with I don't know. Anyway, my speculations for this game. I think that this game will go a little bit like in the same way as the Hyrule Warriors Berserk game, as the Hyrule Warriors Wii U Musou game went, and that is going to compile a bunch of characters. Is going to go throughout a story. You will maybe get weapons. I'm not too crazy about the fact that it's a Musou game. I kind of wish that it just straight up went Dragon's Dogma, and that just happened, to be honest. Dragon's Dogma with Berserk characters. But anything Berserk right now, we should need to appreciate at the very least until we get a gameplay trailer, until we see some game mechanics. I have a feeling, since this Berserk anime is going to come out, that it will follow a canon story. I have a feeling that we will fight a certain priest. I have a certain feeling that we will fuck up a certain fake fairy, that we will possibly fight against the serpent apostle that we are introduced to in the beginning of the series. And you have quite the amount of characters that you can choose from to play as. Guts, first of all, of course, protagonist. I feel that Puck will play sort of narrator role. I think more like just talking around, maybe hanging around with Guts, Farnese, Serpico, Isidro, Shirka, like maybe Skull Knight. So I feel that there's a lot of possibilities for characters playable, and they all have their own style of fighting. Like Guts has the Dragon Slayer sword, Shirka has her magic, Farnes could use her whips maybe or her lance, Serpico Serpico could use he has like a fencing sword, right? So he could use that. Isidro could use his fire daggers and the bombs that he got from Guts. So there's a lot of ways that you can play this out. I am more curious actually to know whether or not we will be playing as enemies, because it'd be really interesting to play as apostles. I would absolutely love that. Play as Locust, the I forgot his name, but like the archer, the apostle, that's one of my favorite apostles right there. Maybe as Griffiths, though I focus more on just hearing his death scream. But yes, so I just want to ask you guys, seeing as you possibly love Berserk as well, or are interested in Berserk at least, maybe have caught up with the manga and are interested in the game. What do you guys think that this Muso game is going to be like? Do you think like the statements that I'm bringing up will be true? Do you have different ideas? What will those ideas be? Feel free to leave them down in the comments down below. Um, if you are a anime only viewer, then I'm sorry, but this video is going to be pretty much full on spoilers for everything else. Now, as you could possibly tell by the title, now that I'm concluding this, and by the way, this trailer I will leave in the description down below for you guys to see, if you guys want to see that beautiful recreation of that best part of the Eclipse part of Berserk. Anyway, as you can tell by the title, I want to talk lastly, shortly, because my subscribers know that I tend to go on about too much when it comes to talking. I will try to keep this as summarized as possible, just the reasons why I love Berserk so much, why this is one of my favorite series. I guess on the one side is because I've always been more into that mature content kind of stuff. Since I was a kid, I'll be honest with you, I'm a scaredy cat. I can't fucking play horror games. I can't watch scary movies. I shit my pants with those. Even as a kid, going to roller coaster rides, like I would be a pussy when it comes to that kind of shit. So there is a certain degree when it comes to Berserk that it is a little bit scary, it is a little bit rough, but at the same time it's still watchable and it's still acceptable. And I guess it's one of those, it's not really a fetish, but it's more of like this thing of like, oh shit, look at that, and like, it's bad and it's horrible, but you can't stop looking at it. It's one of those things when it comes to Berserk, and that's one of the small parts that Berserk has. If you don't like rough things, if you don't like gore, if you don't like brutal things, then Berserk is not something that you should be reading or watching. I'm just letting you know that beforehand. Aside from that, Berserk has some seriously good storytelling. It has some seriously good character development, although with the latest chapter of the Burning Man, I think that's what it's called, or something in that area, those huge puppets that turn into flames, I feel that Guts' character, like Kentaro Miura, the writer, has to be very careful right now, because Guts is becoming now that character that he's that protagonist, that hero protagonist, that One Punch Man like character that he goes into a fight, and he struggles, especially with the latest fights. He's been struggling like crazy, but he's just there to slash and the battle is over. And you shouldn't fall too much into a repetitive state, because I'm afraid that may become a problem near the future. Although lately his interaction with other people and the whole concept of the story, the whole world of the story, it's a beautiful thing, which is one of the biggest reasons why I love Berserk, the world of Berserk. It is a fucked up place that has a lot of magic, a lot of mystery, and I love the explanation that magic is slowly fading away, that these creatures are slowly dying off, and the reason for it is because the people who are so invested in religion, who are so invested in that these things don't exist, they slowly start fading off on their own, and they can't see them any longer. It's like that. It's like the Fairly Odd Parents, for example. Once Timmy becomes a certain age and he no longer believes in fairy godparents, then he just doesn't see them anymore, even though they're still there. It's the same concept, the same idea, and I kind of like that. The other thing that I like is how religion seems to play this important role among the knights, more towards the later part of the arc, and and yet God isn't always there to help these people. Excuse me. Farnes is a good example of this. She is a believer, but then she encounters gods, and she has this inner demon in her, this sadist demon in her that she wants to like use, express out on someone, and she does that on gods, of course. However, she's still like this. She puts it off as I'm doing this for God, even though it's kind of like pretty much for a selfish reason. And when she comes along with guts and encounters like Greyports and all that shit, like she sees that things are a bit differently. And then you get into the Griffith part of the story, and the fact that he sacrificed his best friends to gain this power. He then fucking raped Casca. Well, that's again, this is one of those discussion points where like, did he really rape Casca or not? Um, Manga and anime and movies viewers, please discuss that down in the comments down below what you think about that, because that's the little part of the Berserk that I get a little bit confused of, because it hasn't been really gone into yet. It hasn't been really explained what Casca really was feeling when she opened her eyes and saw Griffith there, and just Griffith being this complete piece of shit that eventually does things to rule a kingdom, but still appear like a god as a good person, but destroying anything that could be a threat towards him. It makes you, and people view him as a god. People view him as a lord, as a high almighty, but no one knows his past. No one knows the fucked up shit that he's done or that he's been doing. And that's kind of like that, me being someone who was raised in a Christian environment with Christian parents, like being Latin American, and questioning belief in myself. This playing a little bit of a part into it. I'm kind of a sucker for those kind of things. That's why I like Eva so much, Evangelion so much, as well. So yes, Berserk, just a great series when it comes to all of these things. Guts, great character. His interaction is kind of what I love the most. I think what pretty much sold me on the character was the second arc with the fat apostle and the daughter, and the first encounter that he has with Griffith in his new god form, and the way he killed the father, and then he put the little daughter up against himself, telling him that, yeah, I killed your father, yeah, I'm an asshole. And then she started yelling all this shit. She started shit talking to him, that she wanted to kill him, that he's a piece of shit. And Puck was like, Puck, the little elf, tells him like, you did not have to be that rough towards her. And when he looks up at him, you see Guts like destroyed, like his face is just this sorry, this sadness in his eyes, and that kind of sold me on the character, that he was just doing that shit on purpose. Kind of like a thing that has been brought up that comes up in a good amount of stories, but at the same time, it felt it had a purpose in this, and I just absolutely loved seeing that element of storytelling in this story. So that's pretty much it. I see that I'm talking pretty much for about 20 minutes already. I've gone on for quite a good amount of time. But this is pretty much where I'll leave the video, where I'll stop the video. One more thing that I don't remember if I spoke about regarding the Berserk Musou game, that is that it will be coming for PS4, PS3, PS Vita, but many sources do say that it will be coming to Steam, and yes, it will be coming to the West. So I'm pretty excited for this. Looking forward to gameplay trailers, however, because that's kind of what I really need to see. Now, viewers, I just gotta know, what are your thoughts on the Berserk anime? What are your thoughts on the Berserk Musou? Do you like Berserk? Are you familiar with it? Are you not? If you're not familiar with Berserk, I pretty much just spoiled a ton of shit for you. I'm sorry, I guess. Just comment down below, hit that like button down below if you like this video, subscribe to my channel. I will be reviewing the Berserk anime once it comes out, and I will be talking about the Berserk Musou once it comes out. Well, gameplay footage comes out as well. My name is DLPOV. Have a good weekend. Bye.